In today's show, we discuss, is the UK irreparably damaged because the poor in society are just too comfortable to contribute like they should?
And now, the TNT Talk Show, daring to go where other podcasts fear to tread.
Hello, I'm Tony Fasulo and I share the stage with my esteemed friend and colleague Tayo Baya. Tayo, hello my friend once again. I hope you're keeping safe and well.
I am. Thank you very much. Hello, audience. Thanks for joining us. I would
I love this
say,
new upbeat start. I really do. It beats all the other argumentative.
oh God, just have to kill the vibe, right? Yes. Anyway, so I'm all at sea. Never mind. I'll soldier on.
See what you've
The
just used two sayings that we covered in a show before. You're all at sea, and you what did you just say?
We'll soldier on. I think
All
is what I said.
soldier on and carry on. See, those are all interesting. Are they idioms or not? No, they're just sayings, aren't they?
Figures
Interesting.
of
But
speech, I
anyway,
guess. Yes.
I'm
There we
digressing.
go.
Folks, audience, listen to one of our previous shows about why we say stuff like that. But Tayo threw one in expertly there at the
Hmm.
beginning.
So here's a fact. This week's fact, and it's a little serious, and I don't know if it's not going to mean. Maybe you just, I don't know what you're going to do because it could be an adult theme show because of
Oh,
this,
no, 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 no,
but it's very
no.
important.
Oh,
Roughly 1 in 26 American men have been sexually coerced by a woman into penetration. Now, that particular formulation of English, of the language, was to avoid using that four-letter word.
okay.
That's 3.8% of all United States men, based on CDC data showing that they were forced to penetrate in cases involving only female perpetrators. Coercion typically involved intoxication, guilt tripping, or emotional pressure, not necessarily, but sometimes including force, believe it or not. These incidents are rarely reported and culturally dismissed, despite affecting an estimated 5 to 6 million American men. Here's the source from the CDC, Center for Disease Control. Oh, sorry, no, it's somewhere else, but it's quoting. This is a PDF and it's quoting the CDC report. So, not
Okay,
really funny.
no, that's not. You should have primed me up front because there's me
Oh,
being
sorry.
upbeat,
Well,
and now
I
you
came late. That's why I'm always.
you came in and left us with a quite a sobering thought, which isn't nice, obviously, because obviously the guys are important too. We obviously
Yep.
hear in the news
And people
for the
dismiss them.
female.
They say, oh, man up. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's still,
Not
yeah.
funny.
Whilst we hear reports of women, and then obviously that's wrong too, we can't neglect the men being abused as well, and that is important too. So yeah, culturally in the past, it's almost like, well, man up, that
Mm,
statement, just get on with it. But
mm.
clearly, it's not good for those men who have been affected. So yes, it does need to be highlighted and dealt with accordingly. Right, let's move on with today's topic. Now, this one is again a little controversial, but it's more, we're going to flip-flop between the UK and US. But the question is the UK irreparably damaged because the poor in society are too comfortable to contribute like they should? Right, now, this was actually my question.
Mm.
Not because I believed it, because I thought it was a question to raise, because, like I said, we'll flip-flop between the UK and the US, because the US are also having a similar conversation along these lines. But before I added my two pennies worth, that's another idiom or a statement or a common theme. I'll ask Tayo to kick things off regarding this topic. What are your thoughts?
This is an interesting topic to research because initially I had one idea, which is very conservative, very look, man, just get out there and do some flipping work and stop belly aching. But as I began to look into it, I slowly began to change my mind. So I'm not where I was when I started. And those people who are familiar with my previous statements on the subject might be surprised to find out that I'm not quite as harsh on people as I was, because there are nuances, and I don't really like nuances. I like things to be black and white. But I'm also happily a facts and evidence man. And when you show me evidence and you give me the facts, if it makes sense, I'll change my mind. So I have gone through some transformation to some degree, which surprised me.
Are we seeing the true cuddly natured Tayo now? Is
No,
this
kill
what you're
them all is what
saying?
I'm saying. Yeah, you're feeling better now? I know it must be discombobulating to meet a host reasonable. It just sets your entire universe all like, oh my God, what's happening to our universe? No, it's okay. It's still me, but no, no, no.
Is
Uh,
it? Is it really you? Oh my gosh.
yeah,
We
yeah.
got an imposter here.
So are we irreparably damaged because the poor are too comfortable to contribute like they should? Oh, okay. So I don't have the figures here. Like I told you for a bit of see, I was a bit late coming in. I was going to get the figures. There is a burgeoning gap between the rich and the poor. So the rich are getting richer, the poor and even the middle class are getting poorer.
Yeah.
So how is it really the fault of the middle class and the poor? If the rich are getting richer all the time, there's money enough for everyone, but is heading into pockets of a very select few. The exact opposite of what it should be doing in a well-regulated state, in my opinion. So before we start assigning blame, left, right, and center forward, it's like, well, this wealth that's available to the country as a country, is it being fairly distributed in the first place? So, for example, if people had decent jobs at decent wages, would they actually be poor and in need of financial assistance? Because it's not everyone who's this image we have of people sitting at home and being lazy and not wanting to go to work. That's not typically the case. There are people who are working long hours and they still need assistance.
Absolutely.
So it's like, wait a second, what are you talking about? Why can't we just get well paid? Why must the CEO make, I don't know if it's not dozens or coming maybe hundreds, but it's vastly more money that actually, were it properly distributed, everybody working for him for that company would be fine. We're not saying be rich, but they'd be okay.
I think part of the argument that could be had in this is that they're responsible. The CEO is paid a certain amount. The argument seems to be to attract the right person to steer a big organization takes a lot of from the individual anyway. They need to be a certain type of individual because you're committing yourself to your work. Forget everything else. Pretty much a lot of these CEOs are working incredibly long hours and they they have to forfeit some of the things that maybe the majority of the population actually take for granted, like family life, for instance, because many of these people in top organizations at the CEO or board level do not prance around the world, every so often just to have the kicks. Yes, when they do take downtime and they do it in luxurious manner, but most of the other time, which we don't get to hear about, they are working stupidly long hours because that's what the role demands. So I'm going to stick up a little bit for CEOs in that capacity. They get a bum deal a lot of the time because we see the media's view which is that they're paid a stupid amount of money, they're living a life of luxury, and therefore they shouldn't be earning that much. But the responsibility isn't just to the company, they also have a responsibility to the people who are depending on the jobs they've got. So they have to ensure that the company that they're leading is performing adequately in order to pay wages to everybody who's employed. So, yes, I'm not going to say now, oh, feel sorry for CEOs. No, that's not my argument here. But they're portrayed in a poor light all the time. And you're right, the wages that they do receive, the remuneration is huge and not really proportionate to some of the other people in an organization. I get that. And there's certainly discussions to be had about that, whether that can be rebalanced. But their salary shouldn't be removed or downgraded because of that. But if they are performing badly and the company's suffering, then yeah, they should be downgraded. They shouldn't get these handouts and, special payments for leaving a company and leaving it in a mess. I get that. But equally, they should still be paid well. But equally, the people at the bottom or the lowest paid in the company should also receive a greater income too, in order to be in a situation where they're not struggling and can contribute more to society. But that does depend on how the services or the products that the company is producing are valuable to an open market. Because if they're not going to make the profit they need. And therefore, the CEO and their salary should reflect that too. It shouldn't be one salary for them, regardless of how the company's doing. It should be the same for everybody. If the staff don't get a pay rise, then neither does the CEO. In fact, should be some deals in there to say, well, if we're not performing, your bonuses or whatever you receive should be cut or removed altogether. So
Yeah, it's where the old tire comes back. Any CEO who thinks he's getting a bum deal should just piss off. Okay, we don't need them. The cemetery. I love this saying. I'm sure you've heard it because it's become quite popular. Cemeteries are full of indispensable people, and we're here. Someone else will step into the breach. We'll be okay. Nobody's indispensable. There are very few genius CEOs, in my opinion, who just can't make a few what to me are just rational decisions. You don't, what is it? You just make a sensible decision. That's it, basically. Don't do anything stupid. But you keep on seeing people doing stupid things and then making pots and pots of money, and then they damage the company, drive it into the ground. I mean, this woman I keep complaining about, Kathleen Kennedy, of what is she? Is Lucasfilm? For goodness sakes. And she's still there. And she's learning all that moolah. It's like, what the hell, man? We've been begging the people who love Star Wars, and we've been asking for her to leave for about 10 years now or something. She's still blooming there. So it's a lot of baloney to say that we need these people. No, we don't. They landed a good gig. They've got their snouts in the trough, and you need the sledgehammer and a shovel to get them out of there. It's not good enough, frankly. I'm still saying that, look, when we had the housing crisis, I was on a train to London. I think I mentioned this in an earlier show. I was on a train commuting into London, and I was saying, I don't get it. Why can't the government just pay off all these loans?
for whom?
Right, for the small man, for the little man, the ones who couldn't pay. Just okay, government said, oh, okay, well, thanks, here's the money. Right? So we've settled the loans. And instantly levy 150% tax on that money. Straight away. So the government gets it back. The loans have been paid off, and the little man is a happy little camper. And then the rich people who knew what they were doing, they're the ones who now have got to start scratching their heads and wondering what they're going to do. It's their blooming problem. It's their mess. Let them handle it. But no, the little man was told to bail out the rich man. What is this? And then we turn around and then we say, yeah, these people are lazy and they're sitting at home. They're lazy. we ask people to go to, you say, well, if you need to get to work, you must work to get your benefits. And the person says, okay, well, I need transportation money to get there. The place is 10, 15 miles away. You can't expect me to walk there every day, there and back. So how am I going to do that? And we say, well, in that case, you can't work, and there are realities that need to be dealt with. Now, not everyone is a goody two shoes. There are some people playing the system. I admit that. And if they are playing the system, it's up to us to say, you know what, you're actually playing the system. Here are food stamps you can always eat. We'll never let you starve. But you're not going to have extra money until you get off your backside and you're going to do something. But there's this, what's what I'm searching for? There's this feeling, not a feeling, understanding, conception. There's this conception that many, many, many people, the vast majority of people who are on benefit are all skiving. And they're just realities that have to be looked at. And we say they're not all skiving. What is actually happening is that the pigs with their snouts in the troughs are overfeeding themselves. Yeah, we are. Is it a plutocracy when you have the rich? The rich are the leaders in the society. I think it's called a plutocracy. It's becoming like that. It's ridiculous. Here we've got the Reform Party, which is looking very much like Companies Inc. So to say. Elon Musk's new party. I think it's called America First, the America Party or something. It's called the America Party, isn't it?
Has
Elon
he
Musk,
actually set this up? I know he was rumored to do it.
no, he's setting it up. He's on the go.
Right.
So that's looking like Billionaires Inc. So it's like, where's the small guy? The rest of us, how do we defend ourselves?
It it's difficult. It's difficult. I mean, this question itself is certainly fiery because you're blaming the poor by the question. Is
Mm-hmm.
it because they're too comfortable to contribute? Now, I'll put my hand up. I raised this question just to just to raise it to see where the discussion would take us because it's actually stemming from the US
Mm.
because the Republicans in power now have recently passed legislation, which is the big bill,
It
beautiful
is.
bill that Mr. Donald Trump has passed. And he and the Republican Party as a whole believe that the ills of the country are blamed upon the poor
Mm.
because there's too many handouts to the poor, which disincentivizes them from adding to the coffers of the treasury over there because they're handing out too many things. So this big, beautiful bill obviously it's quite complicated, but most of it, there's a big chunk of it where they're actually removing benefits from the poor to give tax breaks to the wealthy.
To give tax breaks, to
Yes,
give tax breaks to the wealthy, the very people who don't actually need
they
the
don't need
blooming
it.
tax. They don't
No.
need it. I mean, they'll welcome it. I don't even know why they'll welcome it. Now, maybe because I'm poor, relatively speaking, I'm poor. Maybe because I'm poor, I don't understand the concept of needing more than one yacht. If I have a yacht, what do I need another one for? If I've
Well,
got,
you have
I
one
mean, someone
parked in one place and have one parked in another. You don't use it for actually traveling anywhere. It's more a glorified entertainment system so that you
can't you
can
just
then,
rent one on the day
well,
from a super
you
luxury one
could, but it
and
just
not have
shows
to?
to your fellow
So now
billionaires,
you're showing
your
off with
peers. Yeah,
with money that
exactly,
other people could
exactly.
actually use.
Indeed,
Uh-huh.
indeed.
So there's that little, part of it. And also, by the way, I've looked this up. A plutocracy, I'm going to use it in a second. A plutocracy is from the ancient Greek plutos, which means wealth, and krasi or kratos, which means power, the power of wealth. So plutocracy.
But the point is, or you're not promoting or encouraging even what happened in Russia with the Bolsheviks rising up and
Well,
getting rid of.
that's where I'm going. That's actually where I'm going. That
Oh, okay.
if that's where I'm going. That if the plutocrats, if they're not careful, what generally happens is that they usher in a violent revolution. So you know what when you say if you prevent an evolution, a peaceful evolution, you are making a violent revolution inevitable. Because eventually people are just going to have a look, just look around and go, do you know what? I've had enough of this. And there's an aside. Did I discuss this with you offline? That when plutocrats see this coming, when they see that things are boiling, they actually start a war. They start a war to send young men off to die. The purpose of the war is to cull young men because the young men are the ones who are going to start a revolution. Now, if you want to take it that way, if you want to read the tea leaves in that way, you would say that the West is, as you know, this is my point of view. The West is facing imminent collapse. So these lunatic aggressions against Russia and China are designed ultimately to cull our young men. It's got implications for all of
to
us.
to prevent a revolution on their home soil rather
Precisely.
than keeping them to defend your home soil by having an external threat. That does seem
You
a
send
little
you
far-fetched
you send them off. You send them off. You send them off to Russia. You send them off to China,
to
and they
fight
get
a
culled.
war that they'd end up
And many enough of
losing
them.
in a foreign
That's
climate.
right. And then the
Yeah,
war.
but you're
There's a
then
war
leaving
economy.
yourself exposed at home. That doesn't make sense from
The
a
money protects itself. The money class are not our class. They will be friends with whoever. They'll be friends with the money class of the invaders of the victors. They're a separate class. They're not us.
that
The what do you call these people now? The
sounds a bit
oligarchs
conspiracy.
in
Yeah,
Russia.
they sound. I don't see
Well, I
why.
think I think the point is if you get well, if I didn't come prepared for that particular discussion, but if we have it, I'll bring the receipts. I think we can look at what happened in the First World War. Second one was a bit of an anomaly because it was a different set of palavers, so to speak. But have you ever wondered why? Have you ever asked yourself why Jewish money class funded Hitler? I mean, why has what's his name now? Aronovich, this guy in Ukraine. Why did he fund the Azov
Brigade.
brigade? Actual Nazis. They're not. They keep on calling them neo Nazis. Well, they're only neo in the sense that they're a new formulation of the thing. But they're actual Nazis, genuine Nazis. And who funded them? A Jew called Aronovich. Is that his name?
I don't know.
Yeah, I've spoken about it before, but I must have forgotten.
That
Or
was a
that's I
while
think those
ago.
were the days when you were ignoring me. Anything I said about Ukraine was like, uh, anyway, so why? You ask yourself this question. And I think the biggest betrayal from the Russian point of view was not the West supporting Ukraine. From the Russian superclass, if you want to call them, or moneyed class, I suppose you'd call it, from the Russian money class, the biggest betrayal was the seizure of that chap's football team and all that. What was the name of the chap?
Abramovich at Chelsea.
Abramovich. Yeah, because he's the money class, and it was all understood that look, between us, it's all a wink and a nod, and everything's okay. And then they went after him. So now everybody's is the oligarchs in Russia are like, what the heck is going on? This isn't how things are done. Pull their
Well,
money out. The
well,
sense of,
I mean, okay, that's a slight digression, and I'm not sure we can take that one quite during this topic here.
yeah, okay.
But all I was raising was that the point you're making is if there is a revolution, let's wind it back a bit, because the the lower classes, if I can use that term, that's not being disingenuous, but they feel that they're not being represented or heard. And so they feel that the rich are getting richer, they're getting poorer. This has got to stop. And that's normally the government's fault. The rich people aren't directly responsible for that. It's the government with the policies that are enabling that to happen. So it's the government that are facilitating it. And you can see that the rich people are just benefactors in this because the government are allowing these breaks and tax breaks for them to have. And the argument that they are putting forward, and especially let's roll it back further to my original point of the US administration is giving the tax breaks to the rich and wealthy already because they will plow the money back into business to then employ more people. And there
This
is
has
some
never
evidence
worked.
to that. There is some
No, no,
evidence of that.
no, this has never worked. This is trickle down. This is what you're calling. This is
The
the
trickle down
so-called
effect.
trickle
It has
down.
worked to a degree, but
No,
not to the element that they are claiming that it would bring the benefits. It doesn't quite manifest as a direct relationship.
you just
So
have to
yeah.
look at China. Just look. There's nothing like this. Okay, we are going to do this. You're going to do that, and you're going to spend money, and you're just directed to spend the money, and then the money gets spent. That's how you do things. That's
But do
why
you
they
not
went
think
from.
that the all-encompassing government there know all, everything, and the poor man on the street who built up his business from his bootlaces knows nothing? That's sort of the problem with those sorts of regime. Authoritarian imply that the government know best. And
Well,
you
they've
yourself
lifted
have said,
800 million. They've lifted 800 million people out of poverty in 40 years.
"Oh,
So
I'm not disagreeing. I'm actually not disagreeing. I'm just making that point that you have often argued that why are people in government in the know? Why do they know more than the man on the street? Because you've
no,
actually
I've
opposed that
often argued.
argument.
I've no, I know. I'm sorry. Am I cutting you off? I shouldn't do that. I've argued, and I still argue, that the people in government who are in the know don't share that blooming information with us. You're the one that says, well, they have to keep things to themselves. They have to. I'm like, no, we all need to know what's going on. That's my position. It's just to be open about things. It's better for society. The cockroaches thrive in the dark.
I'm in agreement, but then again,
What?
there's going to be some secrets they have
Yeah,
to
yeah, not
keep.
security. I
No,
mean,
it
I'm
doesn't
talking
have
about
to be
military or
security. It doesn't have to be security. Just having some more information, it's an advantage commercially as well. You don't have big corporations divulging what they're doing. They only put out what they want the public to know in the public domain. Everything else is kept close to the chest because ultimately they don't want to give away any advantage. And the same in government. Government can't be that transparent. They have to be transparent with the laws and how they come to their decision making. I get that. But when they're making decisions and you think, what? That doesn't make sense. Why have they made decisions that way, which to us on the street sound ludicrous? But they have information that we're not privy to from various places. That's the whole point of government. So they can make decisions based on all the information they have available, where you and I on the street don't have. But we question this decision, especially in the States. It doesn't sit right where you're taking money from people at the low end of society and taking it from them in order to fund tax breaks for the wealthy.
something.
Now, what statistics or information do they have which to them means it's a positive step to do this? Because that way you are now incentivizing the people at the lower level who are losing their benefits. So, guess what? You want food on the table, you have to work. I get that, but are there jobs out there in order to enable that to happen? And for them to fund wealthy people with the hope, in quotes, that they will then create businesses in order to give those people at the lower level who are currently on benefits an opportunity to work and feed themselves better. then where's the evidence for that? That's what we need to see. This decision making for them to realize that, okay, to stimulate the lower levels, we need to take away the benefits so that they are incentivized to find work. But some of those people at lower levels are there because of opportunity hasn't presented itself. They're not there because they've chosen to be there. Some of them, literally, they've been dealt a poor hand in life and are struggling. And so it's a duty. I've said this before, I've had a rant about it on a previous show. The duty of a good society is to look after the lowest common denominator in your society. That's what makes you a good human being. You don't just leave, oh, well, they can fend for themselves, each one for their own. That's not the right attitude from a government. So, yeah, if you want to incentivize the rich, great. You can do that if you feel the need, but equally don't take it away from those that need it the most. That's what I'm saying. And
Oh,
so,
that's a reasonable point of view. The chap I was talking about is called, and I've sent you links. The chap I was talking about is called Ihor Kolomoisky, and he was the original Jewish Ukrainian billionaire who funded the Azov Brigade.
do you want to say that once more?
Ha! No.
I'm not attempting his name.
Ihor Kolomoisky.
Kolomoisky. Ihor
Ihor Kolomoisky.
Kolomoisky.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Well, we'll share that in the blurb
Yep.
of the show.
And
And
I've
he
also got
funded, and was he's a Jewish Ukrainian billionaire.
correct. Yeah. So why did he fund the Nazi Azov Brigade? I mean, this is what I'm talking about. That
That
the
doesn't make
separate class.
sense.
Yeah, it does. They're playing. They're making money. The whole idea is to make money. We think like poor people. These people think like rich people. So when you give them tax cuts, which is the next link I sent you, it explains that why
Trickle
trickle
down
down
economics, yes.
doesn't work is when you give them tax cuts, they take the money they're saving, they don't spend it because these people didn't become rich by spending money like loons. They became rich by investing it sensibly. So they take the money that they're saving and then they go and invest it.
Yeah, but investment does also mean in good
So they
ideas, for
might
instance.
not invest it in your country. They might invest it
Well,
in
yes,
China, which is a growing.
that's a good point.
Huh?
Yeah, the tax breaks have to have conditions. And it's a
So
bit
nobody's
like it's a
giving them
bit like the
conditions.
HS2. HS2.
Hmm.
Do you know the HS2 project in the UK?
I know of it. I mean, this is
Yeah.
was it London, Birmingham, is it?
London
Oh,
to Birmingham, what to Manchester, new train line.
can you imagine? This is ridiculous. Paul,
I mean,
yeah,
the the idea of it, just for
how
those
many
benefit of
years has it? How many
our
years has it
listeners
been?
outside, it's been several years, but then that's the UK for you. But just to explain for the benefit of our listeners who aren't in the UK, have not heard of HS2.
High speed.
HS2 is a high speed railway which is going from the south of England, from London up to Birmingham, central England, and then up to the north to Manchester. And it was supposed to be brand new, singing and dancing technology, linking the north and the south with this high speed rail network to bring well, basically bring opportunity to the north, because in the UK, if you're not familiar, it's very South London centric. All the wealth tends to be in the southeast of the country. So to rebalance that, they were going to bring in this new high speed rail network which links the south to the north. You can get up to the north very, very quickly, and it would give jobs to a lot of people. It would create offshoot businesses. And to be honest, infrastructure projects are very, very good if you work them properly. Because what tends to happen is when you create infrastructure projects, you are asking companies to bid for the work, but they have to be companies that are based in your country, so that any tax revenue generated, they will funnel back to the exchequer. So the costs of putting in these infrastructure projects will benefit the actual society itself because the exchequer gets the tax back. You're employing jobs for local people. So it's a win-win. But however, there's been a lot of bottlenecks because they've had to do compulsory purchase of land where this new train system has to go. And obviously, people are reticent with, living in property for many, many years, having to force sell it. And they don't want to do that. So they stick their heels in the ground, the government having to pay over the market value of the property in order to purchase it, obviously adding to the expense and delays of the project. So over time, this project, which was at the time, I think it was originally budgeted at about 40 billion pounds sterling, has now ballooned to over 100 billion, and they've even cut some of the services that were originally planned. So they're spending nearly triple the amount for a third of what was originally agreed. And also the what they're relying on is that homegrown companies bid for the work and employ homegrown people, but by the way that the bidding process works, it doesn't force them to stick to only homegrown companies bidding for work. So the tax breaks will end up going offshore as well.
Yeah,
So,
don't forget that France owns most of our blooming trains anyway, at least
oh,
in England. So
they're
here we
permitted to
go.
bid. Yeah.
The Chinese on the 29th of December, the Chinese unveiled their latest high speed train. Top speed. Do you like to hazard a guess?
Well, our fastest ones that go into Europe are 225 miles an hour. So,
Yeah, you poor little things. Good try. Yes, the maximum speed of this is 453 kilometers, which I achieved during testing, but it's designed to operate commercially at 400 kilometers per hour.
what's that in miles per hour?
I don't know who does miles per hour.
Well, we do, and so do our US audience, so they'll be
Really? Oh, do
scratching
they?
their heads. Yeah.
Oh, it's Nigerian, man. I said KMP. Okay, I'll sort that out for you. Meanwhile, for comparison, our HS2
Yep.
will do. It's projected to do when it's finished. Sorry, HS2 will travel at 300 kilometers per hour. They hope
That's still over 200 miles an hour,
it's
which isn't bad.
186 miles per hour. There's a
It's what?
translation.
200 and
No, 186. I've sent you the link.
186. Okay.
186.
186. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We can actually put that in our blurb as well. So 186 is still significant considering
Well,
most
because
commercial trains.
it's a look behind.
It's not as quick, I get it, but
Thank you.
But the point is, it does increase infrastructure and you do get other jobs created because obviously you've got the maintenance of the lines, you've got little pop-up businesses that pop up in and around the terminals, you've got taxi ranks that would have to be created in and around the terminals and the areas surrounding those terminals. So it does create additional businesses. So that these
Do you
businesses are
remember
all
that
then
it's
creating
be
work.
not allowed to run at top speed for noise suppression and animal this and wildlife that
There
and
was an element of that too, yes,
so
which
yeah, so although it's capable of supposedly reaching 106 miles per hour, which I personally doubt, it's not going to be running like that for quite a long time. And besides, this is England, so there might be leaves on the line.
you see, to get the real speed benefit, to actually get the stated speed and the benefit speed, it'd be better if the trains were actually made underground. Because the
Yeah.
tunnel that goes to France,
Mm,
because that's mostly underground, that actually achieves the speed it has to achieve because there's nothing interfering with it.
hmm.
There's no possibility of animals walking across, well, anything of significance, but that way. And because it's covered. So you know, you're not worried about the weather, you're not worried about leaves on the line. It does the speed it's supposed to do. Obviously, it takes a
Most
lot more infrastructure because you've got to.
fantastically boring train journey I've ever been on in my
I
life.
know.
There's nothing. When you say there's nothing to see, you're
There
not
is nothing
kidding.
to see.
There's nothing to see.
It's true.
It was just
They
dark.
Yeah, they had an idea actually, didn't they? That they were thinking of changing a lot of the screens, the windows with screens to
I bet the
reflect
Chinese have done it already.
an
Yeah,
artificial
sea scene or
scenery.
something.
Yeah, something different. And that was the idea behind it, that the screens can actually come down when it's under the water.
Hmm.
So you're obviously not seeing just dark, you're actually seeing something. And that was an idea that they were proposing. So I don't know whether that's actually got any mileage, but
Or we
see,
could have
some
dancing girls or something. They come around skimpily dressed dancing girls. Come around. Yeah,
okay, I
that'd be
don't know
something for.
how what demographic that would appeal to, but I'm not sure everybody there
That
with
would
young
appeal
kids would
to
be
the
into
poor demographic.
it.
All of a sudden, Tony would be in France every blooming weekend. So, what the hell's in France, dude? And he'd be like, yeah, it's not in France. It's getting there and back, pal.
Oh dear me. Anyway, let's get back
Anyway,
onto a point because we were discussing about the infrastructure projects and what they would benefit. It would create more jobs, etc. But it's how these tax breaks are implemented. We're not saying that the wealthy shouldn't get the tax breaks if those tax breaks can genuinely benefit society and they will use those tax breaks to invest in new upstarts, for instance, and therefore generate jobs for the lower classes. Again, not trying to be disrespectful with that term, so that they can get better paid jobs and in order to then improve their standard of living and contribute more to society. So taking away from those in need at the lower level of society isn't the way forward to fund these breaks. And the same in the UK, that our original question is the UK damaged because of the poor, in my opinion, is a nonsense question. I think what you want to do is provide opportunities for people, and people will rise to the task. But there's not enough opportunity, not enough paying jobs to make it worthwhile for people to actually then find jobs. We don't want to raise the safety net too high because then, yes, there could be an argument that could be made to say that if you're raising the safety net too high, then there will be those in society that will not choose to work. But that number is actually smaller than you think. The majority of people have the the self-image, the self-esteem to want to work. They want to do something. They want to improve their situation. It's just not having the opportunity to do so is the challenge that we face.
well, anyway, hey, look, these are arguments just in bullet points, okay? Arguments for the proposition that yes, the UK is irreparably damaged because the poor are too comfortable to contribute. And the arguments are that welfare disincentivizes work. That's one. Two, there is a cultural erosion of responsibility. This is when we hear people say, well, there are 4 generations or 3 or 4 generations living in that house, and none of them have ever done a day's work in their lives. So this is the cultural erosion of responsibility. Well, we are the poor. Government exists to look after us. And my grandmother never worked. My mother never worked, and I don't intend to work. Because, why should I? There is, now, how does this actually work? There are labor shortages despite an idle workforce. I don't know why it says idle workforce. That's not right. There are labor shortages, and yet there are people on benefits. This is like, remember, this is one of my early arguments when I hadn't looked into it properly. I used to think, well, how can there be labor shortages when there are people on benefits? Like, stop paying benefits until those labor shortages have been filled. So we just say, look, there are jobs in Northampton, and you guys are sitting at home in Northampton. So I'm sorry, we're not paying any more benefits in Northampton until those jobs are filled. I mean, that was, tired to kill them all sort of argument.
Now we have Cuddly Bear Tayo. It's changed.
No, I just got, do you know why? Just as you get older, you just get to the point where you just go, do you know, I'm going to, forget it. Don't care, man. I really, give me a drink or something, man. Just jog off. Yeah, you just get tired. You just get. It's why women win in the end. They just wear their husbands down, and then we're just like, whatever you want, okay? Happy life, happy whatever, okay?
There's an element of truth in that, though, but that's a separate topic.
Separate topic. Then we got the strain on public services and taxpayers, a popular segment that consumes more in services than it contributes in taxes. So that is a slightly different spin on it than benefits cheats, if you see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
These are people who actually work, but it's not, they don't, so to speak, work enough, which is why I've changed my mind, because it might not necessarily be a question of they don't work enough, because they don't get paid enough, which is a different proposition.
Yep.
And then,
I mean, a case in point is the welfare industry. We couldn't survive without the welfare industry. We couldn't. Are they paid enough? They're just a service industry looking after people in society, old age and anywhere. People coming out of hospital, health and related. They're just not paid enough for what they're doing. So
you used the wrong term. You said healthcare. What did you call it?
Healthcare and welfare, the welfare system. Is it the welfare?
Social health.
Social services. That was it. Sorry, what am I talking about? I made that a mistake. Apologies. Yeah, social services and the medical industry, healthcare, NHS in particular. The people in those
care homes, for example.
Care homes. I mean,
that's a horrible job, by the way.
Well, but that's something. There is an element there. Care homes. A lot of the care homes are privately owned, but the workers are paid peanuts in comparison to what is paid for the care home. They're making obscene profits. Some of them. I'm not saying all. That would be too harsh to say.
I happen to know quite a lot about this. My wife is a trainer. She trains them.
Oh, okay.
So I happen to know quite a lot about this. No, private care homes pay more than the public ones, but their terms, their T's and C's are more difficult, are more invidious. So
Can you give
have
an
to work.
example?
Maybe longer hours, probably longer hours, less leeway in the sense that if you call in late or something, or just don't show up, there are going to be issues because they really run a tight ship. So, there's with government jobs, you can usually sort of, I'm not feeling well today, I want to go, But with these people, it's like, that's not going to fly.
Right.
So it's not a happy.
Does the money that they're paid reflect on that requirement?
I think it does, but that doesn't mean that people want to work there.
Yeah.
And for example, if you look after, let's say, one person in government, I'm looking after five in a.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just giving an example.
That's difficult because I understand the pressures there, because that's very difficult in so much that someone's needs, need to be met. It could be really struggling, and I get that. But I've often been aware that the income that they're receiving for doing those sorts of jobs is not reflective on
they're
how
all
much.
Bad. All horrible. Doesn't matter where you're working. It's just not. It's for the work they're asked to do. I think it's pretty terrible.
But are they paid enough?
No, that's what I'm saying.
But if you're paying a private one, you're paying sometimes thousands a month.
It doesn't trickle down. This is this thing about these so-called CEOs being important.
Trickle down. No.
Anyway,
it is difficult. But anyway, go on, carry on.
We're getting there. So, arguments against, which is to say, this is the argument that the UK is not being irreparably damaged. Says structural inequality and lack of opportunity. Many poor people want to contribute, more to face barriers, but face barriers, low wages, poor education, limited mobility. And then, having grown up about education, that our education system is designed to fail students. I don't know why they want to fail students, but it's difficult to convince me that that's not what they're trying to do.
Why? I think it's not trying to fail. It's just inadequate for what it needs to be.
No discipline. You can't discipline. You can't talk to a child. Who in their right mind thinks that children can discipline themselves?
No, it's just nonsense.
It's
But that
just
again is a
nonsense.
government
You
decision.
can't tell
It's
them
just
anything.
wrong.
And they're very quick to chuck you out of school and say they're going to tutor you at home, which is good for the likes of me because that's what I do. But that's 2 hours a day instead of your 8 hours or whatever it is at school. You're never going to catch up. And then to get back in, it's so hard.
Mm.
And then they've got these dumpster schools, what I call them dumpsters, which is behavioral schools where you go in about 9 o'clock and you can leave about 12, and that's your school day, and you basically do what you want to do.
They've given
Because
up on those children.
it's the dustbin.
Yeah, they've given up on those children. They feel that those children are beyond help. And so,
Well,
yes,
nobody
they've got to
actually
go to
ever helped
school.
them. So
No, exactly. I think, yeah, they're just because they tick the box. Yeah, they're going to school, but are they actually getting an education? Are
nope.
they actually learning anything? And that's a shame. But there are unfortunately some children in society that have been damaged, and you can use that term, so badly by their upbringing or lack of upbringing
Oh yeah.
that they lash out at everyone and anyone. And so, in order for them to concentrate, they can't. They would need literally one-to-one
Oh
counseling
yeah,
and,
exactly.
and, and removed from the toxic environment that made them that way.
That's what
That's
I'm
not
saying.
clearly possible. So,
Well, why? They're foster
because,
homes.
well, yeah, but that would mean that the lack, right. There seems to be a view. I mean, we digress slightly from the
Well, we're talking
topic
about
of
why
where
people
we're talking while
are
it's
they
stripping.
really? We are addressing because we're saying are people really poor and lazy?
No,
And yet
they're
you're
not.
explaining, like, look at a kid who's brought up in this
It's
environment
environment.
and
It's
doesn't get this
environment. Of
education.
course
What
it
do you want this
is.
kid to do?
Yeah.
So you are addressing. I think you're addressing it very well.
I think the part of the challenge for a lot of there's no easy answer here. You don't want to break up families. And to be honest, a lot of the kids, even though they may not be happy, they've got this mindset of better the devil you know.
Hmm.
And they would stay in that toxic environment unaware of the toxicity of it and making them be the way they are.
What the kids want is irrelevant, Tony. I don't consider things like that. I'm the adult in the room. I see things. I know things you don't know. It's just this government thing about I know things you don't know. So we're going to move.
Which is true, you do.
We're going to move you
Yeah.
because ultimately you will look back one day and say, "Yeah, I'm so glad they got me out from there. I don't know where I'd be today if I'd stayed there."
Yeah.
It's our responsibility to move them. Actually, if you think about safeguarding, which I have to have safeguarding every year. I think it is. It could be every 6 months, but it seems to be quite a lot. I have to
Yeah.
do this safeguarding course. It's our duty. It's
Yeah.
not a suggestion. If they find out you've not been doing your safeguarding, they check you out.
Yeah.
So it's our duty to say no. I mean, and some of these people's background stories are just horrible. Anyway, so too comfortable is a myth. This is number
Indeed.
2.
I agree.
Benefits barely cover living costs for most recipients. For most recipients, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Framing poverty as comfort obscures the lived reality of deprivation, precarity, which means a precarious situation, and poor health outcomes. Number 3, the rich do more damage. This is something I was going on about earlier, wasn't it? Economic
Yeah.
stagnation and national decline are more attributable to rentier capitalism. It's an interesting concept, by the way.
Yeah.
Corporate tax evasion and poor elite governance than the actions of the working class. Duh.
Absolutely right, because it's not them to blame. Because let's be perfectly honest, what the people, even if those people were frigging the system, let's use that term, it's insignificant what they're doing in the scale of things.
Mm,
Where the big losses are, it's higher up the tree.
yep.
And it's there that those holes need to be filled and filled properly. So, but the point is, the people in government are not making decisions to deter the people higher up the tree because they secretly believe that they are the ones that generate wealth. And so you can't be too harsh on people who generate wealth because ultimately they generate wealth. And so it's this turning the blind eye. But the people at the bottom don't generate wealth. They are the ones who have to be reined in, so to speak. And that's why society looks on the surface when you analyze it. You think, hold on a minute, why do the rich get away with stuff? And the
Mm,
poor people seem to get on the end of, when they commit a crime, they have the book thrown at them. But rich people in high positions have slopey shoulders.
mm.
It's based on that because they're the ones who cause the biggest problem. But
I would say that you're wrong about one thing. You said that rich people generate wealth. It's not that rich people generate wealth, it's that rich people generate the wealth that ends up in the pockets of the politicians.
well, that's a
They're
separate topic
paying their
again.
way. So you own the people that you pay, correct? So they own the politicians. That's why it's a plutocracy. I mean,
Right.
look at the decisions that Mr. Trump has Mr. Trump
Oh,
has made. This 100 million that Miriam Adelson paid, and that's not something that I'm afraid of saying because it's common knowledge. I think it's had to be common knowledge because it's a campaign donation, so it's in public space. 100 million has done all sorts of things for Israel against the interests of America, in my opinion. So you pay the piper, and we're all sitting there going, "This is okay," or we're not doing anything about it. I think if the people came together and said, "All right, that's got to stop now. No more taking money from rich people, or else,"
from poor
I
people, you mean?
sorry,
From poor people.
no, you've got to stop taking money from the rich people.
Okay.
As a politician, your salary we pay you that's got to be
Oh, I
enough.
see. Right.
And if it
Yes.
isn't
Okay.
enough,
Yeah. Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
hell out.
Yeah.
Right? And campaign funds in the UK, we pay your campaign funds. What are you still taking donations for? But
Yeah.
parties always do. They always got donors from here and donors from. It's like, look, man, no more donors, man.
Yeah. Why is that? Why do
Like,
we have donors? You can
why do you
see
need
straight
donors?
away. Yeah, exactly. You can see straight away. If he's giving your party money, it's because he wants something back in return.
Precisely.
Logic says that. So why do we allow it?
And why do we? Why
That
is it allowed? And
exactly.
besides which, if you're running for office in this country, as long as you got the number of signatures you need, you actually get some money to fund your campaign.
It's
And if you
ridiculous.
got party members, your party members can pay membership fee, and that could fund. I know it's not going to be enough, but maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? Maybe it will make you more careful,
I,
and
I
you'll know what it feels like to not have enough.
I think, in a way, the way our government is set up is far better than the US
Oh,
equivalent.
of course.
It is. I mean, the
Okay.
US equivalent, the donors can be anonymous with PACs and super PACs and all that malarkey. We don't have any of that, thankfully. That's all against the law. So ours is more regulated in that respect. So it's slightly less chance of it being corrupted, if we can use
Mm,
that term.
mm.
Although we're not going to say it's avoid, corruption free, clearly not. But yeah, there's less influence from donors
That's
actually trying to
open.
steer. Yeah.
It's less open. It's more a wink and a nod. Since it can't be done, it's like, well, old chap, there is a
Mm.
job waiting for you at the
Yes,
bank when you're
exactly.
through.
After,
You know.
yes, yeah, yeah. Slightly murky in that respect, but still there. Right, okay. Let's get back on point because we've got only a minute or two left. So, a bit of a summary. Is the UK irreparably damaged because the poor are too comfortable to contribute like they should?
Absolutely not. The UK is irreparably damaged because the rich are out of control and they have bought the government, and all these people are getting away with the financial equivalence of murder.
Okay. I'm not believing, as you know, I'm a motivational person and I look on the bright side, half glass full type of person. I don't think it's irreparably damaged at all. Yes, there's some challenges, certainly not attributable to the poor, but challenges can be overcome with the right governance, with the right people in power who want to do the right thing, not swayed by popularism, but actually doing what's right for the country. And there are people out there, we just need to give them the opportunity by voting them in, but that they then carry forward what we ask them to do, not be afraid to do it, actually do it what's right for the country, not what's right for their back pocket. And it does mean that everybody in society can benefit. Yes, rich people who will benefit if they put their hand in their pocket and actually incentivize other companies to build up so they can employ people and give the right opportunities where needed. So it's not irreparable. It can be repaired, but it does need some tough decisions. Right. Unfortunately, we've got to the end of the show now. So basically, if you've enjoyed this show, then please hit subscribe and stay tuned for more deep dives into prophecies, mysteries, and the unexplained twists of fate. You've listened to Tony and Tayo, and we are the TNT Talk Show. But unfortunately, we have reached the end of the show for another week.